doing? So today I wanted to look at creating a hip hop, well, lo-fi hip hop track or beat, just to give a general idea. So lo-fi hip hop is a genre that has been quite popular recently on YouTube and things like that in the electronic music scene. It's mainly for kind of chilled out. A lot of people listen to it to study or just have on in the background while they relax. So it's got quite a nice rhythm in that regard. On my screen at the minute, you will see that I've got two tracks loaded in. I'm going to go over that in a second. So the first thing before we start is I just want to say that I will be using Logic Pro on the Mac today for this demonstration. Obviously, getting samples from different drumming samples or other samples, you can apply and bring those into any DAW. So whether that's FL Studio or Cubase or Pro Tools or whatever it might be that you use, or Ableton, whatever. But for today, I'm just going to use Logic Pro. So obviously, the process of how this is being created is exactly the same. Okay, so there's no real difference in that respect. The only difference is that this is the DAW I'm using, unlike the other DAWs. So without further ado, if you're not sure what lo-fi hip hop kind of sounds like, here's just an example of what we're trying to achieve today. Okay, so that's the kind of basic idea. So we've got like a nice kind of vinyl effect going on there and things which we're going to talk about towards the end of the video. So the first thing I want to talk about is, at the moment, I've picked out a beat that I've got here, which sounds like this. Which is quite a nice beat to have. It's nice and slow. So one thing about lo-fi hip-hop, you tend to find it's similar to hip-hop. Well, I say similar to hip-hop. I suppose it's the golden rule of any genre. It could be any BPM. But typically, I'm going to be working on 70 BPM today. Anything up to probably 90. I mean, I did create a track the other day that was about 98, and I actually felt like that was a bit too fast for it to be chilled. Again, that's personal preference. There's no set rules. I'm going to make this a really easy kind of tutorial to follow in the respect of chord progressions and everything else to mention to you guys. So what I would like to quickly go over is chord progression. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to create a MIDI region here, and I'm going to make this last for 4 bars. Okay, I'm going to use C. Do I want C major or A minor? So if I bring up this, because this will help a lot of you as well. So if you get a Roman numeral chord progression, it helps you understand where everything is. So this is the one that I normally use. So because it's chilled out music, I'm going to go for major for this one. That's not to say you can't use minor at all, because you can. If you've seen any of my Soundation videos, you will have seen this screen before come up with the major chord progressions and so on. I was going to do it in C, but do you know what? Today, no, in fact, I will do it in C. And the reason I'm going to do it in C is just because for those of you who are new to creating music, it's quite easy to show, because basically we're going to be using the white keys predominantly throughout the whole of this. So we're going to follow the simple 1-6-5-4 chord progression. So we're going to go from C to A minor. So if you look here, you can see it says C major, then you've got minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, okay? So it tells you above which one it is. So C, we're going to go to A minor, then G, then we're going to go to F. So we'll start here. One thing that I found with the genre lo-fi hip-hop is it is quite nice to have we'll have it played twice actually. It is quite nice to have the electric piano sound. So I'm just going to create the chords. So we've got C, E, and G. Okay. Then we want A minor. move that down there. Okay, and then, oh, then we want the same thing, but with G. The one thing is, this is just a nice, quick, easy, neat trick. If it's in major, it's going to copy the same thing over for each one. So then we want G, and then we want F. So up to this point, I'm going to play this without the side streets, beats, rhythm. So the minute, this is what we've got. Going to make one change. I think it might be quite nice. Just to give that a bit of an oomph there. So now what I'm going to do, like I say, just to speed the process up. Okay, and then do the same here. Oh no, so this is just to give it a bit more of a, I suppose, a bit more about it really, so it doesn't sound as oh dear. Just so the keyboards have got an added extra bit of oomph, as I'm going to say. See if that works. Just gives it that little extra start, which makes it sound a bit more interesting than it was before. Okay, so that's our chord progression. Okay, pretty standard stuff. So if we listen to that with a beat. Okay, nice. So what I'm going to do, just to give it that sense of lo-fi, okay, as I'm going to add some reverb to this electric piano sound, just to give it that extra oomph. So here's some reverb. I'm just going to give it a nice gentle reverb. It doesn't need anything too heavy. Okay, just to wane up the sound a little bit. So ambience, I'm just going to give it a nice, we'll go with medium. Makes it so it's less harsh on your ears. I like to add a bit of tape delay. Just gives that nice little extra. Now here's something else that a lot of people rave about because it's brilliant, okay, is the Nick Romero. So if I go on Nicky Romero, sorry, kickstart. Okay, we're going to side chain the piano. And that is because I would like to add like a nice little, you'll hear what I mean. So if I just, I'm going to mute the reverb. In fact, I'm not. I'm going to keep it on, you'll still hear it. Okay, so if I press it now. Sounds like there's too much going on that side chain. So if I move that back to about 60%. Just side chains it out nicely, so it's got that sense of a pulse almost. Gives it that nice little feel. Now in respect of obviously mixing and mastering, we'll look at that in another video for this. But that's just the general idea there. So the next thing that I'd like to add to this, we've got a nice sound there. What I'd like to do is another instrument track. So we've got a classic piano again, but this time I actually would like to get a bass. So I'm going to bring up a bass. Because lo-fi hip hop has quite a natural sound in a way, like it is a band that's playing it almost, I'm going to use a fingerstyle bass. Now again, the thing that you want to be wary of with these things is you don't want to overcomplicate what you effectively create. So high up. Okay, so we've got a choice here. We could do a standard hold the note for the bass player. So one more again. So let's just see how that sounds if we do that. Again, this is always going to be a bit of a trial and error system. Here we go. See if that makes it sound a bit better. Yeah, it does. So just adding in an extra note. Like I say, the great thing about being in C major, guys, is that it's all white notes. Just gives it that extra oomph. So let's do the same here. See what it's like there, and then we'll do it again. Okay, so it's got quite a nice bit there. I don't know how to change the E to D. Okay, so now let's just start with the drums. Awesome. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn down the drums a little bit. Fab. So that gives you that sense. So we've got chord sequence, the bass underneath. Then realistically what we want to be adding is a melody. Again, the great thing about being in C is, again, we can use all the white keys to do this. Now, the great thing about the melody is we can play about with it. So what I like to do is highlight it with and solo it with the chord sequence as you play it. Okay. This is the bit that might take the longest to do. Oh, I didn't copy it. It's not too bad. So then we'll mix it up. So let's jump up a bit. Let's go to an F. Sounds horrendous. See, adding in a see if that makes it a bit more interesting. That sounds better. Going down the scale, this works a bit nicer. repeat this phrase because it's quite good. Higher octave. Try from the third. Okay, so that's quite a nice melody. It's not too bad. Again, I'm just going to add the same reverb and tape delay onto that as we had before. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to extend this out to 8 bars. So we've got our first 4 bars. I think they're quite nice. Okay, so what might be nice to add in here is, I mean, you could do this with an actual guitar, but let's get some string kind of instruments in here. Let's have a classic guitar sound, okay? It's not going to be perfect. I'd probably prefer if I had my guitar with me to actually play this in, but might be quite nice. I'm not sure if I like that or not. So effectively creating a bit of a counter melody. Okay, so let's start with. Okay, we'll go C. Start with D. We'll make this a bit quicker. See, it adds a nice little extra something. So we'll go C. Let's go to F. Let's be controversial. Speed up at the end. Perfect. So now we've got a nice counter melody that adds in just to give us some interest, okay? So now what I'm going to do is bring in some structure. Now, before we move any further, I'm going to show you the end product of this in another video. because the thing is, this is just the basic idea of how we can set this up. And then I just want to show you a few extra things that help. So the first thing you need to make sure is you've got a chord sequence that you are happy with. Okay, as I say, if you're not sure, just type in Roman numerals chord progression on Google. It will bring up the image that I showed you at the start and give you all the different chords that you will need. If you're not sure of the chord notes, then again, just type in, if it's a C major chord notes on the piano, and it will come up and tell you, and you can put those in. Okay, so what you want is you want to have a chord structure, obviously your drum beat, your bass, a melody, and a counter melody. I would say those 5 things are your big things you want to include. So let's just structure this so that it's not just everything all in at once. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to start with just the piano. Oh, wrong one. Going to start with just the piano. What am I doing? Right, that's your piano. There's the piano. Then I'm not going to bring in the counter straight away. So then with the melody, I'm going to bring in that, and then I'm going to bring in the drums here. Then we'll have the actual counter melody from there, because then it stretches out the idea a bit further. So let's see if that works. Effectively, what we've done here, just make sure I'm counting this right. 1, 2, 3, 4 to there. Okay, this should then hopefully 3, 4. So then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? It feels like it's not right. So you got your intro 4, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 4 takes it to there. Right, fab. So here we go. So we want to keep that going. Keep that going there as well. What you might do is add another counter melody. I've also down here got a crowd talking sound effect. So if I just play that. That's because I want to give it that sense that we're in a cafe and this music's on and it's in the background, okay? And we're just having like a nice cappuccino. Gonna add some same reverb, some medium reverb just for now. Tape delay again, and just to add to that, so that then, okay, it's only in the background ever so slightly. It doesn't need to be overly loud. You don't want it to distract from the music. It just might add to it. Let's see if it does. It might not. It might ruin it. So here's the start. Now we've got a different sense of structure in. See how this works. I realised something. Not put that in the right place. That's why it didn't make sense. Let's try that again. Sorry about that, guys. In fact, I've decided. It's about in that bit there. I'm going to add another counter melody there. So let's choose another instrument that would be quite nice there. Maybe something like, oh, I know, we haven't added it. Oh no, okay. We'll do, should we try some glass marimbas or something like that? See what they sound like, just so I've got the right kind of sound that I'm after here. Sounds a bit like we're doing something there. Let's have a look at the synthesizer. We've got bells on there. Yeah, right. Let's have a look at what we've got here. Glass bells. Definitely like that. Right, let's go back. Maybe another string instrument. Here we go, world. Stringed. Let's go for something out there. Let's go for a Japanese koto. I just put sound like that. Should go for a harp. Yeah, that would be better. Right, let's go for the harp. Okay. Longer side bass. That's nice. Okay, so I just add something extra again. I'm just going to add some reverb to these just so that we've got something there. Right, I'm just going to leave it there in the regards of that. I'm going to keep the people talking all the way through. Then what I'd do, if it was me, is I would start bringing in pieces and taking things away. So now what we could do is, let's not make it the piano because that's already been on its own once. We could actually have two. Don't need to do that. have two melodies, then break out on their own. So maybe you want to break those two out. Maybe add this one in again. And then you bring it all back. So that continues. And then you just repeat the same thing until you think that's the end of the song. I mean, most of the lo-fi hip-hop songs don't tend to be much more than 2 minutes or so. Again, exceptions, obviously there are some that are longer than that, but you get the idea. So if you bring in that, it just breaks out quite nicely. Okay, so by adding those quieter sections in, it just makes it more interesting. So, the final things I want to bring to you, and I'll bring another video out at some point that shows the final product of this and all the different effects that I used to create the overall vibe for this. But that's the basic idea. The last thing I want to show you is a nice retool, because at the minute, it doesn't sound overly lo-fi because of the quality. So, on my master, if you go and look up Isotope Vinyl, it was free when I got this. This is the game changer. So without it, it sounds like this. Let's go from a section where everything's in. So here we are. Now it's got it with. And I'm going to move it so it works to 90/30. We're going to add a bit of mechanical noise, add a bit of wear, add some electrical noise, add some dust, a bit of scratch. Slight bit of warp depth. So that's without it, that's with it. So it gives you that lo-fi sound. You got 1930s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 2000s, so the more you move it, the more it changes. My personal favourite is 1950. There's no reason, though, why you couldn't automate this in the future and get it to change from 30s to 50s as it goes along. Now if I play this and we put a... Let's see if it goes with the image. Yeah, I think that sounds nice. Awesome. So, main things to remember then, guys, that we've talked about today for lo-fi hip-hop. You want chord structure. Okay, your BPM wants to be anywhere between probably 70 to 90. You could go more or less, it's completely up to you. Go with your ear, but that's kind of the general, you know, standard rule, I suppose, that you would probably aim for to start with. You're going to need... I would use electric piano. It always sounds nice in this genre. That's all it is. It's the standard plugin on Logic I'm using, and it sounds pretty good, to be fair. Acoustic guitar effects, you know, string instruments. I used a Celtic harp as well, just to give us some counter melodies. So your piano could provide you your chord structure and your main melody. Then your acoustic guitar and your harp can provide you with, obviously, your counter melodies. Counter melodies are great because it just adds interest as it goes along. Otherwise, it will start to drag out a bit with the tempo. You want a bass. Okay, the bass doesn't have to be overly fancy. I effectively just got my bass to play 2 notes basically per bar, per 4. So that made it so that obviously it just carried along nice and smoothly. Obviously, the beat is massively important. I use sound effects, people talking in the background. You don't need to do that if you don't want to. I just added that because I think it's quite nice to have that sense of us being in a calf kind of vibe. Also, the other thing to mention is the iZotope vinyl. Okay, I can't express how much of a game changer that plugin is. It's fantastic. Okay, and it's on iZotope. Type in iZotope vinyl download. It's for Windows and Mac. It works on everything. Okay, and it works for DAWs, so it's brilliant. And then the final bit of advice I would give you as well is just make sure that you have sections where the drums drop out. Maybe you only have 2 instruments playing at once. Okay, it's just because then it adds something different. Later on, what I'll probably do after this is played through again is probably take the classic clean acoustic guitar on its own for a bar or so, then add the bass in maybe, just to mix it up so it's different and interesting as it maintains as it goes along. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you've got any questions, please hit me up in the comments below. As I say, this is LoFi Hip Hop tutorial today. I'll bring in the final track when it is done, and I will show you the mixing and mastering final aspect of that and how I go through that process. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Take care and have a wonderful day, evening, or wherever you may be. Thank you very much.